According to Fremenay, there is a legend that a dragon of water once resided in Fontaine. One particular legend states that whenever the hydro dragon cries, the skies will cloud up and pour out rain. It is currently unknown if the dragon of water is still alive or if it perished in battle. Fremenay makes it a point to tell us that no one knows where the dragon went or why it cries. From what I understand, the people of Fontaine see rain as a sign that something is wrong, and according to Lenny, it only ever seems to rain during trials at the Opera Epiclese, when Neuvillette serves justice and delivers verdicts. When we're first introduced to Chief Justice Neuvillette, Paimon and Lumine find him incredibly awkward, and things only get more awkward from there as they try to hold a conversation with him. Paimon asks Neuvillette if he is a friend of Lenny's, and in response, Neuvillette says,
"A friend, you say? Well, if Mr. Linny would like to be my friend, I would be more than happy to reciprocate."
Neuvillette's response is definitely strange, and the awkwardness doesn't stop there. He then goes on to refer to humans as a third party quite a lot during the Archon quest, making a few subtle remarks about having trouble understanding their emotions. He also reacts strangely to seeing Navia cry when she confronts him about her father in his office. All of these little things add up to make us realize that Neuvillette may not be human at all and is something else entirely. Now, Neuvillette may appear to have a humanoid form, but there are things about him that certainly aren't human-like. For example, his unusually shaped eyes. At first, a lot of people, myself included, thought Neuvillette could have been linked to Conria because in the Overture Final Feast trailer, he appeared to have the signature Conrian 4-point star eyes, much like Kaya, Dainsleif, Piero, and several other Conrian NPCs we've run into on our adventures. However, after getting a closer look in the Archon quest, we can now safely say that his eyes aren't Conrian at all, and they're more slit-shaped, much like a snake's, or maybe even a dragon's. That's not the only thing strange about his appearance though. His ears are unusually pointy, he has two blue horn-like things tying in with his hair, and we also find out he doesn't appear to have a vision anywhere on his person. Which, to me, suggests that his power wasn't given to him by Celestia and that he has a natural control over the element of water. The 7 Archons, 7 Sovereigns, Dragons, Bishops, Descenders, and a couple more are among the beings that can control elements without the use of a vision. And for me, and many others, I think Neuvillette's character model, voice lines, and overall look and feel genuinely point to him being a dragon. Maybe even one of the 7 Sovereigns reincarnated. And the next story that I am about to tell you might tell us why. This is a story of a civilization lost to time. Long, long ago, when the Primordial One and its 4 shades established Teyvat after a war with the 7 Sovereigns, a single unified civilization came to exist under its reign. Everyone shared the same culture and spoke the same language, one that is very similar to the Greek language of our own world. The humans began farming and building cities, one of which called Byakuyakoku, which later came to be Inazuma. Everything seemed to be harmonious during the early days of this civilization, and its inhabitants lived in peace. Until one day, a disaster struck and a great war happened. It's unknown what caused this war, but as a result, Tevat was literally split open and Byakuyakoku sunk into the depths of the ocean, bringing the shattered remnants of the single unified civilization down with it. Byakuyakoku ended up deep inside the earth, which already appeared to be the home of the dragon heirs, descendants of the dragon sovereigns that were exiled from the outside world. These dragon descendants began to prey on and terrorize the remaining inhabitants of the civilization, and with seemingly no way out of the depths of the earth, the people of Byakuyakoku felt doomed. But a brave sage among them named Abrax was not going to accept the people's fate. He began to pray to the primordial gods above, and later received the gift of divine knowledge from a shade named Istaroth. Armed with the divine knowledge and courage, he led the people to achieve the impossible, creating an artificial sun called Helios that eventually worked to drive back the bishops that lurked in the depths of the earth. Capitalizing on this newfound power, researchers of Byakuyakoku began experimenting on the bishops. It's important to note that the original form the bishops held aligned with the element of hydro before the researchers found a way to breed them, thus creating cryo and electro bishops we see in Enkanomiya today. For whatever reason, they were unable to create pyro bishops. After countless experimentations and many sleepless nights, the researchers made the biggest discovery of all. Due to the bishops being removed from their natural habitat, and the crossbreeding between them and other elements being impure in nature, the dragon sovereign that they were descended from will not be able to be evolved into again. Instead, they learned of a prophecy stating that the dragon of water would be reborn in a human form, much to their dismay. Researchers did not believe this at first, but over time they found the bishops they had experimented on were beginning to show linguistic capabilities comparable to that of a 12-year-old human student. It's unknown if this is the reason they stopped experimenting on the bishops, but there are no more experimentational entry logs after this. However, we do get one more clue into that prophecy in the form of a riddle that reads, "What walks on 4 feet in the early morning, 2 feet during the day, and 3 feet at night?" The answer is a strange one indeed. A bishop who transforms into a person to attend a ball, then breaks one of its legs and eventually ends up walking with a cane. Even though it's more or less implied that these are just children's riddles, I don't think it's a coincidence that the answer to this riddle happens to refer to a bishop that transforms into a human and walks with a cane. Neuvillette has been known to carry a cane. However, it's unknown if he uses it to walk because he broke his leg, or if it's because of fashion purposes. As for the transforming to attend the ball part, I'm sort of picturing Neuvillette attending a Fontainian masquerade ball. It might be a little far-fetched, but I think it's interesting to see that they at least hinted at the possibility of Neuvillette long before he was even announced. Speaking of Neuvillette's announcement, his drip marketing and description are also quite suspicious. For example, the title "He Who Looks Down on All That Are Haughty" references a Bible verse, Job 41 verse 34, and tells us a little about the Leviathan. More things that are said about the Leviathan also sound a little suspicious when comparing it to Neuvillette's design as well. Job 41 verse 32 reads, "It leaves a glistening wake behind it. One would think the deep had white hair." This can't be a coincidence. I'd also like to point out again that Neuvillette doesn't have a vision, or a revealed constellation for that matter, and that makes it all the more possible for him to be something more. Him being the reincarnated sovereign of Hydro would also sort of explain why he has a questionable attitude towards Focalors and doesn't necessarily recognize her as a god. From what we know about Tevat's history and Apep's general disdain towards Nahida, we can safely assume that all the sovereigns and their descendants have a bitter hatred for the gods of Tevat after the Primordial One defeated them in battle. Neuvillette is at least a few hundred years old, and if he does turn out to be the Hydro Dragon, we are in for a wild ride for the upcoming Archon quest. Well, that's all I have to say on this matter. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe.